Today's video is, frankly, my Super Bowl. We are mere days away from the first official day of autumn in the Northern Hemisphere, and I thought what better way to kick off some fall booktube videos than with a what to read this fall video. Now, if you've been here for a while, you know this is my third video I've done like this year. I did one for spring and one for summer, but literally nothing could be better than sitting down to film my fall version of this video, because that means fall is upon us. I've also got my Hot Girls Read Fantasy shirt on today. I just thought it was perfect for this fall book recs video. Fall is such a top tier season, and beyond that, it is like the bookish season. I feel like there are so many books on my personal fall TBR. If you guys want to see an entire video about what's on my fall TBR, I would love to do that. But in today's video, we're gonna have 4 sections with 5 book recs per section. So totaling up 20 books that I hand selected for this video. I feel like, you can't boil the ocean. I could sit here probably for like 6 hours and talk to you about hundreds of fall books. There are so many, from fantasy to dark academia to cozy mysteries to horrors and thrillers. I feel like there are just so many books that kind of fit this like fall vibe. It can be a little overwhelming. So that's why I wanted to kind of break it down today and just highlight some of my top faves. And don't worry, I'm going to timestamp it all out down below. So if you want to just skip to a specific section, feel free to jump around, have fun, do you. First up, I wanted to highlight some of my picks for fall. All right, we've got The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. I do not hear enough people talking about this book. I feel like it's kind of like fallen to the back of people's minds, and I just wanted to bring it back up in case you forgot about it. I read this book last September and absolutely loved it. It's the perfect like early fall book. It's a great September book if you're looking for something that you can start reading today, but you really could read this at any time throughout the fall. I also listened to a little bit of the audiobook of this one, which was outstanding, so would recommend either. And this one's a little witchy. It's a little genre bending. I really have not read anything like it, and I have not talked about it nearly enough on my channel considering how much I loved it. This one follows June Farrow. She lives in a quiet mountain town in North Carolina. June comes from a family that is known for their beautiful flower farm and for a curse that's haunted the Farrow women for generations. After her grandmother dies, June starts seeing things. She hears these wind chimes that aren't really there. She thinks she hears people like calling her name, and she even sees this like really mysterious door that like starts to appear. June also grew up without her mother. Her grandmother pretty much raised her. So after her grandmother dies, she also is kind of like starting to look in a little bit more into her mother's disappearance and like what happened. And she realizes this like mysterious door that she's been seeing might be the key to discovering what really happened to her mom. Stepping through it sends her on a wild journey, weaving the past with the future. You've got small town secrets, you've got star-crossed romance, you've got mystery, action, witchy vibes. It's just really this eclectic, creative mix of like magical realism and fantasy with small town romance and action and mystery. I really haven't read anything like it. I highly recommend, if you haven't picked up The Unmaking of June Farrow, give it a chance this fall and let me know what you think. Okay, the next Lottie approved fall pick is going to be Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I know, yawn, like everyone is talking about this. You're probably so bored of hearing this book rec. This one came out back in June, but I wish I had saved it and read it in the fall. It is so good and so fall. The tagline for this one was just toxic lesbian vampires, and that's kind of all you need to know going into it. If you haven't read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab, I also definitely recommend that one for fall, and I honestly do recommend you read that one before reading Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. You definitely don't have to, but Addie LaRue is arguably the more popular title. I think if you don't like that one, you won't like this one, and if you really love that one, you also will probably really love this one. I feel like they have a lot of similarities in like the way the stories are told, even though the stories are very different. So if you have read that one, depending on how you felt about it, might help you figure out if you want to prioritize this one or not. This one is essentially just V.E. Schwab doing what she does best, blending timelines, genres, characters, emotions into something very unique. This story weaves together 3 women across centuries. You've got Maria in 1500s Spain, who's desperate to escape the life that's been laid out for her. Charlotte, or Lottie as she goes by, in 1800s England, and she comes from a very sheltered world and is kind of struggling with something internally. And you've got Alice in present day Boston, who is really trying to leave her past behind, start this new chapter in Boston, and redefine herself. All 3 of these women's stories are tied together through hunger and rage, and they really start to understand the cost of immortality. And this is one that has definitely stuck with me. I think it's my new favorite from V.E. Schwab. I also want to read some more of her backlist. I know she has the series, the Darker Shade of Magic series and the Vicious series, and I really want to get to both of those. But in the meantime, if you haven't read Bury Our Bones yet, you should definitely pick it up this fall. Another favorite fall pick of mine is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This was the first book I ever read from Hannah Bonham Young, and I love her as an author. She is such a wonderful writer. This is a contemporary romance, and the reason I think this is a great one one to read in the fall is because it actually kicks off on Halloween night. But basically this book follows Wynn, who is super independent and has never wanted to be treated differently because of her limb difference. And Wynn ends up having this Halloween night hookup with the utterly charming Beau, and she finds herself unexpectedly pregnant and decides to keep the baby. And I usually wouldn't like spoil if it's, you know, an accidental pregnancy trope, but that's like literally the whole point of this book. So I do feel like you should know that going in. Beau has such golden retriever energy. I love him, and he's really excited to be involved, which is really sweet. The bar is so low. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, but even though Beau is really excited that he is being included and can be involved, Wynn is a little bit like hesitant to trust anyone and like want to rely on anyone. They agree to just be friends as they start navigating co-parenting. It is just such a heartfelt and vulnerable contemporary romance story. I also in the fall really love like a reflective contemporary romance book. I read this one last November and I just thought it was a great one to read this time of year. So wanted to throw it in here in case you didn't realize that it does start on Halloween night. Okay, another one I don't hear enough people talking about is Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. Deanna Raybourn also wrote the Veronica Speedball series, which I haven't read, but I'm really interested in. I read this one like 2 or 3 years ago, I think. It's just such a fun one. I admittedly am a sucker for this like old people fight crime subgenre. Like Thursday Murder Club and Vera Wong are both on my TBR. I'm charmed by the old people fighting crime. So if that's not for you, that's okay. But this is a really good one. It's like Golden Girls meets spy thriller. You're following Billy, Mary Alice, Helen, and Natalie, 4 60-year-old best friends who've secretly been these elite assassins for decades. I'm obsessed with them. They fight like sisters and it's just so fun. Anyways, their organization, the museum, thinks that it is time for them to retire and sends them on what's supposed to be a like retirement party cruise, except it's totally a setup to take them out. So then of course, my queens realize what is going on and they rely on each other and their old school skills to get them out of this pickle. And it's just like really fun, badass, older women just being awesome. Like I loved it. And then if you really like this one, the sequel actually came out earlier this year. I haven't had a chance to pick it up yet, but it looks really good too. And you could continue on and read the next one. Okay. And then my 5th and final pick for fall is going to be Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Stone. I've talked a lot about this one throughout the year. It is one of my favorite new romances that was released this year. This one actually came out back in March and I read it right around the time it was released. But while I was reading it, I noted that it was set largely during the fall months. And if I had to do it over again, I would probably wait and read this in the fall. I feel like the cover is so pretty. I mean, of course it's a sunset, but it's so orange. It does kind of have fall vibes unintentionally, but I wanted to throw another kind of like mainstream romance rec in here because I think they're kind of hard to find. Apart from the obvious picks like the X-Hex or the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, it can be kind of hard to find just like a normal romance set in the fall, which is why I wanted to highlight this one. A lot of people recommend The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston for the fall, but I personally just wanted to quickly come on here and share that I recommend this one for the spring. The Dead Romantics is set during April. It is a ghost romance, but I feel like a lot of the themes in this book are really around like renewal and rebirth. And even though there's a ghost involved, I don't know. I feel like if you're a big fall person, save this one for the spring and get those like fall vibes in the spring with this one. That would be my recommendation. You could definitely read it in the fall. I read it last fall and I just kind of wished I'd saved it till spring. So that's just my 2 cents. Of course, do whatever you want, but I just wanted to throw in that anecdote in this video. Anyways, back to Promise Me Sunshine. If you like contemporary romances that are a little bit more like women's fiction oriented, I think you could really like this one. It follows Lenny, who is completely just adrift and lost because she recently lost her best friend to cancer. She's been dodging her parents' phone calls, completely avoiding the apartment that she used to share with her best friend, and just trying to pretend like she's okay when she's anything but. She ends up taking a babysitting job for a single mom in order to get by, just like a low pressure way to keep moving and make some money. But that's when Miles comes into the picture, the single mom's brother, who is kind of just like in their orbit. So he ends up meeting Lenny and he offers to kind of help Lenny get out of this funk if she will help him connect more with his niece. And it just kind of goes from there. It's a really, really sweet friends to lovers story. I feel like this one just has a lot of heart and meaning, and I just really connected with it. I thought it was really sweet, very real, and really charming, and it's set in New York. So good. So if this one's been on your list all year, go ahead and read it this fall. Now let's talk about some of the new releases that have come out this year. In case you missed it, I did an entire video talking about all the new releases that are coming out in the back half of this year that I'm really excited for. That video covers like 30 or 40 different books, a really comprehensive list. So the new releases I'm going to be highlighting actually in today's segment, none of those were featured in that video. This is also a mix of ones that have come out a little bit earlier this year and some ones that are coming out later in the fall. Okay, so first up we have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This one actually came out back in May, but I feel like it is the perfect book to read in the fall. I'm sure you've heard of this one. It is super popular right now. And this is a new series series from the same author who wrote the Shepherd's King duology, which is One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns. And from what I've gathered about this one, I think it follows this diviner named Sybil. And I'm not 100% sure what a diviner exactly is. What I do know is that she spent the past decade serving in this cathedral. I think essentially her gift lets her predict disasters before they happen, and people travel from all over to come and hear what she sees. And just as her service at the cathedral is almost over, some of her fellow diviners start disappearing. And the only person who might help her is Roderick, a broody knight who doesn't even believe in her visions. It seems like it's got a lot of that same gothic, misty energy from One Dark Window, but a really exciting new kind of plot. And I loved the writing in One Dark Window and really enjoy Rachel Gillig as an author, so I know this one is going to be great. The next new release that came out earlier this year that caught my eye for fall is called The Bewitching. This one's by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and it came out back in July. It's actually from the same author who wrote Mexican Gothic, if you read that and enjoyed it. But basically, I think this one kind of follows 3 different women, all dealing with the same kind of like witchy forces. We've got Minerva in the 1990s. I think she's kind of like the main character, and she's a grad student researching horror literature. She ends up stumbling into this creepy mystery about this vanished roommate from the Great Depression era, and that story was written into a famous novel. But it turns out the disappearance might have been real, and whatever evil was lurking back then may still be around on campus today. What makes this even spookier is that these events kind of echo what Minerva's great-grandmother, Alba, used to tell her about growing up in Mexico in the early 1900s. We've got multi-generational, which I love. We've got dark academia. It feels like it has all the makings for an amazing fall read. Okay, another new release from this year that caught my eye is Arcana Academy. This one's by Elise Kova, and it came out back in July. This is the start of a new trilogy, and this one honestly sounds like such a fun setup. It follows this main character, Clara, who is a thief and an outlaw magician. She's been surviving the gritty streets of Eclipse City by secretly creating these magical tarot cards, which is like super illegal. So of course, after a job goes wrong, she's facing life in prison until the mysterious, dangerous, charming prince, I think you say his name, Kalis, who also happens to run the elite Arcana Academy, offers her a deal. He wants to keep her close for a heist against the king, so he pretends she's not only a student but also his bride-to-be. So now Claire's in this fake engagement, she's in this new school, she's trying to navigate the royals, she's trying to figure out her powers, I think she has powers, and it just seems like a really fun time, honestly. Okay, another new release that actually just came out on September 9th is called Play Nice. This looks so good. This one's by Rachel Harrison, and I actually saw also the audiobook narrator is one of my favorites, I think Alex Fink, so I may listen to this one on audiobook. But essentially this one is about our main character Cleo, who is a stylist and an influencer who's been carefully curating her image for years. And after her mom's death, she and her sisters end up inheriting their childhood home, the same one her mom swore was possessed by a demon back when their family fell apart. Cleo sees a chance to turn this creepy old house into like a house flipping project for content, except once she starts working on renovations, weird things start happening. Memories that she's buried come rushing back, and her mom's warning about the place being haunted starts to feel really real. It just seems like a really unique, fresh, kind of like haunted house mystery horror book for fall. Okay, and then the last new release that caught my eye is called Kitty St. Clair's Last Dance. This one's by Kate Robb, and it comes out on September 30th. And I think this one's kind of like a women's fiction with a little bit of romance, but we're following Jules, who works at a retirement home, and it's set in this like charming lakeside town. And Jules suddenly inherits this like rundown dance hall from this glamorous, slightly eccentric Kitty St. Clair. She has no idea why Kitty has left this dance hall to her until Reeve, the handsome developer, shows up wanting to buy the place for condos. Literally, sir, back off. Selling this place to Reeve could fund her dream of going to medical school, but it also could price out locals and make it more expensive for people to visit this lakeside town that she really loves. As Jules wrestles with what to do, she starts falling asleep reading Kitty's diary and literally dreams herself into the dance hall's heyday 50 years earlier. It's kind of giving the Chamber of Secrets, Tom Riddle, like in the diary, and then we're all of a sudden there. Okay, just me? No. Anyways, yeah, so she dreams herself there walking beside Kitty, and this experience in the past starts to give her clues as to what she thinks she should do with her future. So we've got small town romance, a little bit of magical realism. It just seems really cute, and it kind of just seems like a fun twist on some popular tropes. So I thought this one looked really good, and that's the last new release that caught my eye. But like I said, if you haven't seen my video where I talk about all the new releases coming out this fall that I'm really excited for, check that video out because it has way more. Now let's talk about some of the books that are on the tippity top of my fall TBR this year. First up, we actually have a classic. I know, a lot of you reading a classic. Who's heard of it? Not me. This would be my first of the entire year. This is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I wanted to read this last fall and didn't get around to it, so we have to make it happen this year. And I actually feel like I definitely am going to get to this year because the movie's coming out with Jacob Elordi, who is going to be the monster. So we're going to read it. Don't worry. I think most people know Frankenstein as the classic mad scientist makes a monster story. But from what I've heard, it does go even deeper than that. It follows Victor Frankenstein, a brilliant but reckless scientist who figures out how to create life. So he builds this creature that's bigger and stronger than any human, which gives the book this like philosophical element that I think is really intriguing. I feel like the heart of this story really ends up questioning ambition and responsibility and what happens when science pushes too far, kind of like that whole we asked if we could do this, not if we should. I think this is one that's going to be more thought-provoking. I actually am really excited about this, not only because of the movie, but also because I feel like with talks about generative AI right now and like sentient robots on the horizon, it's very akin to like creating monsters and creating life. And I think that this book may give me an interesting perspective when thinking about it and applying it to like modern computer science, because mad scientists can also be mad computer scientists. So I'm definitely getting to this fall. It's at the tippity top of my TBR. I'd love to read it with you. If any of you guys want to read Frankenstein for the first time, we could buddy read it this fall, but this will be happening. Next up on my fall TBR, we've got Wild Dark Shore. This one's been getting rave reviews all year. It came out earlier this year and I seriously have heard nothing but good things. It's kind of like a literary fiction mixed with a mystery thriller from what I understand. And a little bit about this one, it is set on a remote island near Antarctica where a father, Dominic Salt, and his 3 kids are the last caretakers of a massive seed bank. Their lives are already pretty lonely and fragile on this island, as you can imagine. And to make matters worse, the story starts off with this violent storm hitting the island. The storm washes up this mysterious woman named Rowan onto the shore. So naturally, Dominic and his family nurse Rowan back to health, and she starts to feel like she might belong there too. But I'm pretty sure she is hiding like why she actually came, which it's like, did she come or did she wash up on the shore? You know? Anyway, I just heard this one's full of tension. I think that ultimately Rowan and Dominic are kind of like the Spider-Man meme, you know, where they're like, why are you here? And they're like, why are you? They just can't trust each other. And it ends up being really tense. So I'd love to get to this one in the next couple months. It seems like a great fall read. All right, another one on my fall TBR is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is another one that I have literally heard nothing but good things about. Plus the movie is coming out, I think early next year. I haven't even watched the trailer for the movie because I've heard there's spoilers in it. So if you haven't watched it yet, don't watch it if you haven't read this yet. This is another one where I've heard the audiobook is incredible. So if you're an audiobook person, definitely maybe try to listen to this one. But Andy Weir is the same author who wrote The Martian, if you're unfamiliar. And I'm pretty sure this story follows our main character named Rylan Grace, who wakes up on a spaceship alone with no memory of who he is or why he's there or what his mission is. Just a couple dead crewmates and a lot of confusion. As his memories start to come back, he realizes that he's Earth's last hope to stop an extinction level disaster. No big deal, no big deal. And if that isn't enough to hook you, I don't know what to tell you. I cannot wait to get to this one. Can't wait to go see the movie. It's gonna be a fun time. Okay, another book at the top of my fall TBR personally is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is another one that kind of feels like homework to me where I'm like, oh, I should have read this by now. And that's why I'm putting it in this section of this video. And I'm assigning it as a top priority on my fall TBR. I feel like a lot of people know The Secret History as this like modern classic. It is kind of like the dark academia book. I'm pretty sure it follows this tight-knit group of students who are very bright but very eccentric. They're at a small New England college and the group kind of falls under this spell of their enigmatic professor, who's the classics professor. And what starts off as academic curiosity spirals into an unhealthy obsession. I've heard it's kind of like a psychological thriller mixed with dark academia, and I'm sure that it's popular for good reason. So convince me to read this in the comments if you've read it and loved it. I'm feeling like it's one that I should read and I need to read it in the fall if I'm going to read it, but I don't know why I'm not like super drawn to it. So if you love this book, please tell me why and get me hyped up to read it in the comments, because I feel like I'm going to love it once I get into it. It's just a matter of like getting me amped up to start it. Okay, and then the very last book on my personal fall TBR that I wanted to share with you guys today is one that you've probably heard of, and this is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. This book is so popular. I feel like everyone has at least seen or heard of this book, and this author actually recently released another book called A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, and that one has been super popular this year too, but I never read this one, so I want to go back and read this one first. I don't know if you were picking up on the vibes in my fall TBR, but we've got like a classic, we've got a big long sci-fi book, we've got a psychological thriller. Like I just wanted something a little light, a little fun, a little fluffy. We're putting this one in the mix. Yeah, basically you're following our main female character, Mika, who is one of the few witches in Britain, and she spent her whole life hiding her magic and keeping it to herself so she doesn't draw attention. I think she runs this little secret account online where she like pretends to be a witch, not thinking anyone would actually believe her, until she gets this message begging her to teach these 3 young witches at a mysterious place called Nowhere House. Mika breaks the rules and goes, and Mika starts to find this newfound sense of belonging, but she has to decide if protecting this family is worth risking everything. It just sounds like the perfect mix of a cozy, witchy, romance, found family, sweet, heartwarming book. So I wanted to throw this on my TBR too, because I feel like I'm gonna need some palate cleansers in between some of those heavier reads. To wrap us up, I wanted to talk about some Kindle Unlimited picks that I have for fall. Now, these are a mix of books that I have read and recommend on Kindle Unlimited and a couple that are on my personal KU TBR for fall. So first up, we have Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This one is on my personal TBR. I haven't read it yet, but I am dying to get to it soon. It's a dark romantic fantasy set in a deadly haunted mansion called Phantasma. We've got our main female character, Ophelia, and her sister has vanished. And the only way to save her is to enter the high stakes contest where the prize is a single wish. But surviving Phantasma means outlasting 9 brutal challenges along with all the ruthless competitors. This one sounds so good. I really want to read it soon. And if you really love it, there's a sequel on Kindle Unlimited called Enchantra that came out earlier this year that you could go ahead and read as well. And there's going to be more books in the series too. So it seems like the perfect book to read this time of year. Another great read on Kindle Unlimited is On a Quiet Street by Serafina Nova Glass. This one's a really quick read. So if you need just a little palate cleanser between books, it's a really solid, just like domestic drama suspense novel. It's set in this coastal neighborhood in Oregon called Brighton Hills. And on the surface, it's luxury homes and friendly neighbors, but underneath, everyone is hiding something. You've got several different neighbors you're following throughout this story, different POVs, and it all just weaves together in the most interesting way. It's super fast paced. I read this one back in May and really enjoyed it. It's one you could really read any time of year, but it's just one of my favorite quick suspense novels on KU. So I wanted to call it out because I feel like fall is one of my favorite times of year to read books like this. Another book on Kindle Unlimited that I really want to read this fall is called Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. I've never read anything from Tara DeWitt, and I thought this could be a fun place to start. This cover is just like so moody and fall to me, and the story itself follows Farley Jones, and Farley is a stand-up comedian who is secretly in love with her manager named Meyer. Meyer is a former comedian himself and a devoted single father. We love a little single father. I think there's some kind of dynamic that causes the two of them to fake date for publicity, and of course this causes all of their chemistry to bubble up to the surface. It's friends to lovers, it's fake dating, it's single dad. It just seems really heartfelt, funny, sweet, and I really want to read some books from Tara DeWitt soon because she has a ton of books on KU, so if I like this one, I would love to read some other ones from her. Okay, another book on Kindle Unlimited that is great to read for fall is Belladonna by Adeline Grace. I read this one last December, and I haven't continued the series yet, but I definitely would. I feel like it's just not one I've prioritized because I started it kind of at the end of fall last year, and I do feel like this is really like a fall series, and so I wanted to wait to continue it until we got back to like spooky season again. This book is honestly kind of hard to explain, but I'm gonna do my best. We've got Signa. She's 19. She's an orphan. She's basically been shuffling through different guardians throughout her whole life. People keep wanting to be her guardian because she has this big inheritance, and when she turns, I think like 20 or 21, she gets to have it, but whoever the guardian is like gets some kind of payment too. So people really want to be her guardian, but they all keep mysteriously dying. So Signa's last ditch effort, one of the last like available guardians left that she can go to, is the Hawthorne family. Their estate is called Thorn Grove, and when she gets there, she finds the dad of the family who is throwing these wild parties because he's mourning his wife and he's like in denial. You've got the son of the family who is trying to grasp and like save the reputation of the family because the dad is being like kind of reckless. And then you've got the daughter in the Hawthorne family, and she's like mysteriously sick and no one really knows with what, and it's kind of being hidden. Then the ghost of the mother from the family herself comes to Signa and claims that the daughter is being poisoned. And so Signa goes on this journey to kind of like figure out what's going on with the daughter and like why she's sick. Ultimately, also, you may have heard that this is a story about a girl who's like in a relationship with death himself. And like that is also true. And that's all I'm going to tell you about the book because it's kind of complicated and confusing, but it's a fun time. So if you like a little YA historical fantasy, you could like this one a lot. Okay, and then my last Kindle Unlimited recommendation is actually another one that's on my TBR for the fall, and that is Babel by R.F. Kuang. I know that Catabasis by R.F. Kuang just came out, and a lot of people are talking about that one right now, but I really want to go back and read Babel before reading Catabasis. So if you haven't read this one, I wanted to call it out. It is on KU, and it is like a quintessential fall book. It's a dark academia epic set in 1828, and I'm pretty sure it mixes historical fantasy with commentary on colonialism and language. We're following the main male character, Robin, who was orphaned and brought to England to study languages so he could attend Oxford's Royal Institute of Translation, aka Babel. Robin learns silver working, a kind of magic built on the gaps between languages, which fuels Britain's power and colonization. At first, Oxford feels like a dream for Robin, but then he starts to realize that his knowledge serves the empire, not justice, and he's torn between loyalty to the institution and fighting back. I've heard it's just a brilliant story, and it's one that's on KU, so wanted to call it it out. Could be a great one to read this fall. All right, guys, I have lost the natural light, and I think that means it's time to wrap up this video. Let me know what is at the tippity top of your fall TBR in the comments down below, or if you have any books that are your like absolute favorite fall books, I'd love to hear it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. YouTube has really been prioritizing the likes lately, and if you made it all the way to the end of the video, comment down below with the candle emoji so I can know who made it to the end. Yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today's video. I'm super excited for fall reading. If you guys have any other fall video requests for me, definitely let me know because I'm starting to plan out all of my fall videos. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss a video from me. And I think that's it for today, but I will see you super soon in my next video. Bye everyone.